Such a reckless fight. This thought ran through the mind of Elizabeth Sidney as Jupardet returned from his fight, his trainer welcoming him with a grin and a chop to the head. Ah! What was that for? For every training session you skip to chase skirts, Haruko chastised. If you'd taken it more seriously, your body wouldn't have been so torn. Or you could have knocked him out cold on the first hit. Or I'd be too busy recovering from grass acupuncture to be here. Oh, is that something you'd like to experience? Would do us all some good, Sydney chimed in, cross expression on her face. Are you still whining about this? This boy is a danger to himself and his opponents. Young man, if you any sense of decency, you'll leave this whole damn industry. Excuse you. Where do you get off telling my pupil to take a hike? Unlike yours and Van Toten's, he actually put up a fight. Gary merely isn't ready yet. Jupardet has no business being prepped, Sydney uttered through gritted teeth. The two women glared each other down, marks on Elizabeth's neck seeming to move as grass grew beneath Kusona, standing straight like spikes, the tension thick in the air a moment before Haruko let out an annoyed sigh. There's no talking to you when you're like this, Kusoa spoke, turning her back to Sydney while pushing Remy along, much to the other coach's exasperation. The next match is going to start soon, and we need to focus on our potential opponents. The pair walked away, Elizabeth glowering at the two while her pupil sat silently in frustrated contemplation. The gambler and his master found themselves beside Felix and Goldbug, the two congratulating Remy on his victory. You're not the only one who can make a comeback from dire straits, my friend. But he might be the only one who can avoid putting you in them. Won't be able to gamble if he dives on you, Kusoa warned. Why, Haruko, expecting them a battle already? Your student still has a round to go, you know, Goldbug taunted, eliciting an annoyed look from his fellow coach. Don't look so smug. Your kid is only advancing because he lucked out with Bracket. We just as easily could have been talking about two archetypes with a free win, and they'd have the advantage of their power still being hidden. Fair enough, Goldbug laughed, turned away towards the exit opening. I'm getting some drinks. Care to join? Sure, Haruko sighed. As carefree a man as ever. Remy, watch the fight closely while I'm gone. You're up against whoever wins, so I want a detailed analysis when I get back. Yes, ma'am, Jupardet replied, as the two trainers walked away. I envy you, Felix. Carefree man indeed, the stubbled man sighed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the stage has been set. Fighters Michelle and Xavier to my sides A and B respectively. The two fighters walked out onto the grounds, coaches giving them a last word of encouragement before they took their place on the field, the announcer clearing his throat before introducing them. At my side A, a bouncy beauty whose charm radiates like sunshine, her excitement so contagious it makes you want to fight right alongside her. With 38 points to her name, new generation's 12th daughter, Michelle Bublé. The young woman called Michelle certainly had a spring in her step, bouncing in place as she waved to the crowd. Her outfit a mix of MMA clothing and a sailor uniform, with a white sailor shirt with a blue sash, her midriff exposed save for suspenders connecting to her tight thigh-length white shorts, while boxing boots protected her feet. And at my side B, a young man with mystery oozing from every pore of his being, and a cold, calculating gaze, ever analyzing his enemies. With 39 points in the exhibition match, the 16th son of the new generation, Xavier! Xavier! The man called Xavier simply stood there calmly as the crowd cheered, his arms crossed while light reflected off the goggles over his eyes. He was dark-skinned, his attire rather casual, being composed of a black tank top, blue camouflage cargo pants, black boots. Nothing of his mindset could be ascertained, even as he and Michelle moved into their guards, the referee keeping his hand between them. And it's time once more for the battle to commence. Let's set 'em loose and see what they got. Let the match begin. With the announcer's words, the bell rang and the referee retreated, leaving Xavier to the first move. Immediately, the crowd burst into a roar of cheers as Xavier pelted Michelle's guard. The young woman managing to protect herself against the sudden aggressive assault, backing away to escape her opponent's continuous attack, managing to parry a punch to her lower side before retaliating with a palm strike to his chin. His face unchanged, not even a hint of pain, Xavier went within the momentum of Michelle's strike, spinning into a sweep kick, his technique rewarded with air as the sailor girl hopped over his attack. She took a deep, fast breath in preparation to counter, only to have it stuck in her throat, shock freezing her. There before her eyes was Xavier, still on his guard, seeming not to have moved an inch from his spot. Before she could process what she was seeing, Michelle found herself socked from the side, her body falling to the ground, the young fighter quickly managing to catch herself, breaking into cartwheels to gain distance and assess the situation. Huh? Michelle cried out in exasperation, for there before her stood Xavier. 3 of them, to be precise. Would you look at that, folks? I've heard of seeing double, but that phrase becomes reality when you're up against Xavier, the copy! The copy paid no attention to cheers from the crowd, as he and his twin stared down their opponent, the original still standing at side B, unmoved, while his clones set upon Bublé. Another Spiritus artifacts! Thought much of the coaches, Sydney and Van Toten particularly awestruck at the seeming irresponsibility of their peers as the battle continued. Finding herself in a sudden 2v1, Michelle threw caution to the wind and went on the attack. Throwing herself into one of the copies with a flying kick, the attack pressed into Xavier's guard, pressing him back but doing no damage, only for Bublé's other foot to weave through beneath and strike his chin, forcing him to fall. The other clone was already moving to attack when Michelle landed, forcing her to guard. Unfortunately, in her panic, she raised it high, allowing for its own kick to land into her stomach, forcing her to roll away. Copy didn't let up, attempting to kick her once more, only to have its foot caught and twisted, to no effect. The creature simply struggled in Michelle's grasp for a moment before the girl opted to stand and push it, forcing the copy to fall on its back as well, just as its brother had recovered. Did these guys really not feel pain? Michelle whined internally, trying to piece together a way to victory in these circumstances. Okay, calm down. If I can't harm the copy, I'll just hit the copy. A look of confusion flashed over the faces of everyone around for a moment. Then, with a cheeky grin and no hesitation, Bublé made a beeline for Xavier, the original still standing in place. The crowd around Xavier began to panic on his behalf, trying to warn him of the impending danger headed his way to no avail. The young man simply remained standing in his guard, with Michelle rushing towards him. I just need to outrun the copies and get a clean hit on his head. That should knock him. As Michelle was thinking, she turned her head to get a quick read on the clones. To her surprise, they opted to remain in place, staring her down with cold, emotionless eyes. Well, one of them. One's missing? Bublé screamed in her head, turning forward to see a copy emerge from the side of Xavier's body and rush towards her on a collision course with the same calculating gaze. A bewildered smile crept over Michelle as she kept course. It wasn't a particularly flashy power she found herself against, but in many ways it was more terrifying, an archetype that easily pressured an opponent while keeping the user safe, unable to act even during its creation. However, between Michelle and Xavier's archetypes, a particular trait was shared. Neither required traditional bending motions. With a deep breath through the nose, Michelle opened her mouth and exhaled a rather large bubble, the size of a stability ball, shooting it out towards the clone. I got you now. Now get blown away so I can fight the real you! Gross! Huh? Michelle let out a confused cry as she watched the copy in front of her go from emotionless to disgusted, desperately attempting to dodge her bubble, and succeeding in a sense, body glowing blue before dissipating into vapor, leaving the main body wholly unguarded. Xavier's eyes shot open, breath heavy as he let out a panicked gasp, as if awakening from a dream. He hurriedly turned his head to confirm Michelle's location, and the spit bubble still rushing towards his location, much to his disgust. No, gotta... Xavier, in his attempt to move, found his legs collapsing, still stiff from his deep meditation, bubble right on his stomach as he fell. With a pop, the bubble breaks, releasing a great deal of wind, launching Xavier into the air and out of the arena, landing in the stands with a thud. All was silent for a moment before the announcer spoke up. Ring out, countdown now! 10, 9. Xavier groggily rose his head, body sore from landing but otherwise fine as he came to his senses. 7, 6. 7, 6? Shit! Xavier scrambled to stand back up, making a mad dash for the field, stiff legs hindering him as he rushed over. 2, 1! Beep! Xavier crashed into the balcony fence of the field, a second too late to be counted in. Ring out the winner of the 4th round, Michelle the Bubble Bubbly. Michelle simply stood there, astonished, looking up at Xavier as he held his frustrated face in his palms, the two waving to each other awkwardly, a shared sense of odd amusement between the two. It's not over yet! A voice roared from the stands, silencing the area and sending shivers up their spines. None more so than Felix. Is something wrong? Remy asked. It's him. The guy attacked me and my sister. I'm sure of it. It's Felix Velatores. I got a score to settle with you. From the stand, a figure leapt onto the field, red boxer shorts and some gauze wraps as his attire as he scanned the sides for the boy. When at last they locked eyes, a gleeful sneer formed on the face of the man called Ricky. He walked towards the young man, stealing the announcer's mic as he made his way to Felix. The demon took a fighting position, preparing for a fight, relaxed only by his friend's hand on his shoulder, taking a guard with him. You took my spot, you little shit! You wanna know what my score was? 46 points! 46 fucking points! Same as yours. Isn't that some shit? Felix stared down Ricky, resisting the urge to simply sling fire his way as he continued. I should have been in the roster. Not you! I earned my spot, you understand? I earned my 46 points. You're just some lucky little punk that Cafe picked off of its shoe for laughs. And I'm gonna prove it! By day's end, I'm gonna kill a demon. Silence befell the audience once more. The tension between the two fighters thick in the air as they eyed each other down, daring the other to make a move right here, right now. Hey, old guy, there's still a bracket, Michelle called out, Ricky's eye twitching as he heard her voice. If you want to fight, you still gotta earn it, the young woman declared proudly, the audience slowly but surely applauding her, cheering for the beautiful bubble to teach this stranger a lesson, booing Ricardo and tossing concessions into the field. Come on, I'm still raring to go. I'll take you on right. Before Michelle could finish, Ricky had disappeared from sight. The only information available on his whereabouts was a fast-moving shadow, crawling along the ground towards the young woman. With a thunderous BAM! Ricky punched Michelle, sending her head crashing onto the ground as he landed. The once cheerful crowd was stunned, silent, lost for words at the sight before them as Ricky knelt by Michelle and tossed the announcer his mic back. Call the match. What? Before the announcer could finish, Ricky pulled Michelle's head up and shoved it back into the ground. Call the match, he growled, pulling her head up once more, her face coated with dirt and blood. Or I kill the girl. A horrified look flashed across the whole arena at this declaration. Of a sudden, blonde psychopath clicked his tongue and threw Michelle's head once more. Pop! Suddenly, Bubbly's head bounced back, sending her assailant's hand into his head, following up with an elbow to the side. Duff, you jobber bitch! Strengthening his grip on the girl's head, squeezing her skull painfully, Ricky reeled back once more, planning to pulverize her into the ground. As he moved forward, however, Ricky found himself taking a kick into the chin from a black combat boot. Sudden overextending of his neck causing enough pain to force his release of Michelle. A second pair of combat boots moving to pull her away, while the other continued to attack Ricky. Damn it. Get back here! With a crash, yet a third pair of boots stomped on the psychopath's head. The other dissipated into a blue vapor while it rolled forward, rushing to keep Michelle held up. Xavier? You okay? The young man asked, his voice soft and deep, concern on his face as he held his peer up. Yeah, you just got the drop on me, I guess. The bubbly girl gave a tired laugh, her peer giving a small smile of his own as Ricky began to rise up. You goddamn job of trash! Can you still fight? Xavier asked, taking deep breaths as the foe before the two gathered his strength. Yeah, I think so. You're fighting with me? If this jackass wants to barge his way into our roster and take our spot, he can earn it the same way we just had to. Besides, Xavier knelt down into a meditation position, hands clasping together as if in prayer, a small streak of red forming over his face. I'm not just gonna watch a girl get brutalized. A small snicker escaped Michelle's lips, which only served to deepen the young man's blush before he had placed a hand on his shoulder, drawing out a curious hand. Thank you, expressed Michelle, beaming smile on her face. The streak faded into Xavier's skin as his face became a deep red, forcing him to take deep breaths to regain his meditations before he turned her attention back to the covering enemy. Let's go, the bubbly girl shouted, two copies emerging from Xavier as Ricky took a 4-point stance, muscles tensing slightly as he glared down the two young fighters. With a furious roar, Ricky shattered the ground beneath him and rocketed towards the two, the copies moving forward to catch the older fighter. In what seemed like an instant, the sadistic enemy's fist lashed out, snapping back the head of one of the copies. This did little to actually stop it, as it managed to get a hold of the speeding bastard. Its brother helping from behind to push back and further halt Ricky's movements. Fucker. Die! The older fighter spat, pelting the clones with a rapid series of punches, something clearly breaking inside them with each hit. Still, they showed no emotion, coldly staring their foe down as Michelle moved in to spit at Bubble. Noticing this, and still in the air, Ricky took a sharp breath before snapping his legs out, toes just touching the ground enough to push out. With all the power of his archetype, the brutal older fighter launched himself higher into the air, a clone with him while the other was blown away by the bubble. Capitalizing on this, Xavier dissipated the lost clone, replacing him while using the other to fight back, probably quick to follow up with another bubble. Managing to knock the clone he took loose, Ricky breathed deeply, practically sucking his legs into his chest before drop-kicking the copy into the bubble. Bounce? Huh? The sadistic fighter shouted in confusion. Bubble the clone had landed on didn't pop immediately. Instead, the copy bounced off the large projectile, Michelle below holding her hand out before squeezing it into a fist and punching into the air. Bone launcher, go! With a loud pop, the bubble burst, shooting out a copy right back at Ricky, heads colliding with a sickening crack. Its purpose served and too damaged to continue, Xavier dissipated the clone, the impromptu team's enemy now flipping back in midair as Michelle exhaled another bubble, the second copy taking a running start before stomping on it. Once more, Xavier's copy blasted towards the psychotic combatant, his launch angled in such a way to knock Ricky out of the field and his head into the stairs by the stands. As he approached his enemy, however, he saw something that nearly broke his meditation. The smiling, hate-filled gaze of a killer. With ease, Ricky caught the clone, his strength managing to halt any momentum that would cause them to spiral, and with a blood-curdling scream threw the clone back at twice the speed it came, aiming directly for Michelle. Too fast to dodge or dissipate, the clone crashed headfirst into Michelle, knocking her into Xavier, and forcing both to skid across the ground painfully. Xavier, you okay? Michelle choked out, struggling to lift her head, as her peer does the same. Before he could give an answer, the young man found himself being lifted up, a pained cry escaping his lips as Ricky kicked him into the air. Xavier! The psychotic fighter immediately turned his attention to the screaming girl, watching her attempt to fire a bubble towards her comrade, only to stomp on her head, snuffing her rescue. With evil glee, he grabbed the poor girl by the hair and flung her towards Xavier, the two crashing in midair before collapsing to the ground with a thud. Now, die! Ricky screamed out, running towards the two at a breakneck pace, lifting his leg high as he rapidly grew larger and larger, till finally he brought it down to kill the two young warriors. Yeah! What? Before he could end his opponent, the older fighter found his foot halted. For in front of him knelt a woman, 6 arms holding him at bay, face of deep concern, gazing at the 2 beaten combatants before her, and a face of utter contempt, glaring at Ricky from the side of her head. Before he could process what was before him, the sadistic warrior found himself rapidly pushed back by a jet of water from behind his fallen foes, forcing him on his back, sliding across the ground. Growled like a wild dog as he sat up, and before him, guarding his prey, stood 2 veteran archetypes, Evelyn Love and Percy Archer. Ashura and the Archerfish, Xavier and Michelle's respective coaches. All Ricky could do was glare at the 2 veterans down as he slowly got back up, his hateful gaze shifting from them to the announcer. Call it! His heart stopped in terror for a moment. The announcer hurriedly brought the mic to his lips, trembling as he spoke. The winner of the 4th match of the Greenhorn tournament is, Once more the impatient man snatched away the microphone. A look of self-satisfaction as he once more looked to the sides and stared down the demon. Ricardo, the Muscle Trabagia.